How are you? Enzo Di Costanzo podcast. This is for assignment number 1 in fall 2023, and this is for all my economic sections, all my finance sections, and actually there's a couple different assignments, and we're going to go through, how I want you guys to answer that stuff. Now, what you need to do in terms of Blackboard, you're going to upload your PDF to Blackboard. Now, as I said to you guys, you don't have to buy a textbook for the course, but it'd be a good idea to buy PDF Writer, the software, which is like $100. And let me see if I can show you guys that. There it is. Okay, something like that. I don't know why it says stop what, I don't know. Stop. Okay, this student teacher edition, something like this, and have this uploaded by your IT crew to your PC, so you guys can there, so there can be no problems with the upload or anything like that. Okay. All right, so I'll pick, let's do the economics one, either one, but I'm gonna just do the economics one. It says, okay, so read the textbook, and it says the specific pages, but really for the for my 1 o'clock, my 2 o'clock, the intermediate macro group, all of you guys, you should be reading all of these chapters, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. And I'll tell you, if we got through these 7, 2, 4, 6, if we got through these 7, it'd be plenty for the semester. This is a lot of stuff. This is a lot of the theory of macroeconomics. I've been doing so much empirical with the classes. I wanted to do a semester or two of sort of the theoretical stuff, and it's been a couple of years since I've taught this material, so I want to get back. I want to get back with it and discuss it. The goods and services market, the money market, which is a big thing for what I do for banking, labor market, obviously. Okay, the money market is here, and we're going to hit. So September and October, it's the expenditure, which is the demand, the output, which is the supply, and then government, planned investment, government, consumption, taxes. Okay, but again, very theoretical treatment of this. These chapters are done. I have these from a couple years ago. We're just going to reuse those lectures. Okay, and then some of this other stuff. These other 3 chapters, I'll probably hit them. At some point, but I have a lot of stuff to do this semester and taking care of mom. So, but like I said, you should be reading this textbook. And again, it says the pages to read for the for the economic one. For the Buffett one, you're just reading the Buffett one. You're reading. I gave you the readings here, and it's whatever, a 10-page, return on equity and things, return on assets and what have you. And I took all the highlighting out that I used for the lectures, and then some of the Warren Buffett stuff and why he succeeds. And so, but this is good. I forget which classes have what, but and what we may do, I think I split it. 3 of my classes have the aggregate one, and 3 of the classes have this one. Yeah, because this is, I think my graduate section has this too, the graduate course. Yeah, because this is good return on equity stuff. Okay. All right. So how do you start? So what does it say to do here? Let's work on this one. That's equity, and they're all due in about. I give you plenty of time, so you have this weekend and all the next weekend to work on it, and they're due that Friday. When it's due. So yeah, there's no Excel spreadsheet, but you want to post it as in the assignment section of Blackboard, and there's a folder there that says that. And there's an introductory video that goes through everything. Everything's 100% electronic for this course. Okay. Cover page. Yeah, let's do the cover page. So new blank document. Cover page, name, date section. Assignment problem. All right, so instead of us typing, so this is the assignment. Like, we'll just copy this and we'll drop it off in there, and we'll do and folks, let me tell you, you want to make things look good. All right, so you don't want to do any spacing, and we're going to fix the font. I like Times Roman. We can start with 12, and you can center this and take the centering off. There. So we can use the whole thing time. And we could put a footer in there if you want. You can go to insert, something like that. You can go to page number and just pick any of these, right, that you're looking at. But let's not work, because this is just the cover page. I'm sorry, I hit escape to get out of all of that. What else do we want? So we did this. Name and date. So now, I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but obviously you got to type in your first name, and don't leave first name, last name. You got to type those in, right? First name, last name. Dates are very important, especially when you're doing contracts and things of that nature. Very important. Spell it right, not like I just did. Section, let's say EC 101. What is it? 04, right? And then the other, whatever. Find the 2 o'clock section we're using this to, and we'll say assignment number 1, like that. Okay, that's your cover page. You could I guess everything could be centered with this. Now you want to mess with the font here, bold it, and this font should be like maybe 20 or 22 or something like that. The date can always be a little bit smaller. The date doesn't need to be 12. That could be a 10 or something like that. Okay, your name, you want your name to pop a little bit, so do a 14, and that's it. There's your cover page, right? Not complicated, not complicated, and obviously try to keep it to 1 page. I'm deleting all the blanks. So then you say, now this is your template. Okay, this is your template is what this. Whoops, this is your template is what this says. So you say file, save as, this PC, your location. So we'll say cover page template fall 2023. Okay, like that. Now we're not. Oops, yeah. Now we're not done. You're not gonna post this as a Word file. You're gonna post this as a PDF. So go to PDF, save as PDF, and it's just gonna have the same title, but it .pdf instead of .doc. And see how nice that looks. And now what you're gonna do, you're gonna connect this to your assignment. So we're gonna make a file, assignment 1 solutions, whatever it is, something like that. We're gonna make a file like that. Okay. And what you could do, now that you have the template worked out, also, what you can do, you can go to this Word document, and now that you have this, you can just drill right through it, go to the second page, go to your assignment, right? Now this is a bunch of this is a bunch of definitions, and here you could just do this, and actually, which is follow. This should be up here. Save this, and you can do something like this. You can pull all of these together, copy, and then go to your cover page, deposit them here. But wait, and before you save, say File, Save As, and now instead of template, you could say something like Assignment 01, last name, like that. And first name, if we have people common names in there, Fall 2023, something like that. And return. So now what you did is you got the cover page sort of connected here. Okay, and you can just reuse that template. You could just copy and paste this into your new, this could be your starting point. Just rename this every single time. Put a new title and change the date and the assignment 2, 3, like that. You got to be able to reuse things. So now you're in Word, right? And you want to make some space, right? So you'll type in your definition, and here, let's do this. Let's do some good macro photographs or something, right? Yeah. And you can just sort of, pick some graphic that you might like or something like that. It could be this. right? You could just grab this copy image, and I'll leave this up to you guys. But again, you have to put some. Don't just do the picture. You got to put some text in here. Make this a little bit smaller. This is a little big, but you want to make this a little bit smaller. Okay, and then you type in right your definition. Okay, that's it. And then you go to all of these and just give yourself space, right, like this. Like that. Propensity to save. And where you go. So let's now, this is that's the assignment 1. So save this thing is assignment 1. You're going to go to the textbook. And I said the pages to read were 459 onwards. And the definitions are here, and Keynes and all that stuff is there. Okay. All the Keynesian stuff, what's output, what's income, obviously, output is obviously supply. So whoops, I heard a beep. I don't know. It gives you a little if you don't click that in 10 minutes, it stops recording. Once I did that, I kept talking and the recording stopped. So I did an hour, and then the next night I redid it again. But expenditures, demand. Output is the red one, is supply. This looks like Whole Foods or something like that. And also, now the first assignment didn't have any Excel in it. Okay. So here, let's save this. We save this as assignment, right? And this is all the tech stuff. So let's make a PDF. Save as PDF. Now you have the cover page as a part of this. So you got the cover page, and you got the answers to your questions and what have you, right? Like I said, you'll type in Word all the answers here. Okay, you'll type in Word all the answers here. And same thing for the finance class. The finance class is the same thing. With the finance classes, yeah. With this, you're just going to go to now again, copy and paste these into your initial document and just start knocking off the answers. Okay, that's what you need to do there. This is pretty straightforward. Now, I'm just going to shut this one down for the time being. We're going to close this. But here's what I want to show you guys. So here we're in Word, or we're in PDF. Now, even though you have the cover page, let's do this. Let's go. So click the little arrow here. Go to this double page, this thumbnail. Go to Insert from File, and just for our amusement, here it says Cover Page Template. Click on Cover Page, hit Open, and see where it says Location. We want that to be the first page, and hit OK. Even though we have a cover page, but we have another one now. See, they're both the same. And this is the third page. So that's how you insert a PDF into another one, and then you would click here to save this. Make sure you save this so you have a double set of pages there. See how that works? I don't know what this is. Why this is like that, but okay. I have to learn what that does. I gotta figure that out. So okay, anyhow, but there's something else I wanted to show you. In the future, we're gonna have Excel be a part of the assignments. Okay, we didn't do that first, just to sort of get you ready here. But here, these are our notes for the Keynesian stuff, and this is common. I did this the second set of notes this weekend, so I have all the set for fiscal and government policy. I worked on all the notes this week. You can see there's a lot of graphs and a lot of tables and all that. So it's set up to be explained in Excel. We'll do View, Page Break, and let's see what we'll do here. I might want just these or something. And usually, anytime you want to select pages like this, right? Anytime you want to select a page, you just got to be a little careful. You want to be careful in a sense of let's just pretend we just want this. Whoops, that one, and then the graphic here, like that. Yeah, let's pretend this is our page. So with the graph here, so this stuff should generally be up front somewhere, kind of a thing. right? So we made a selection here is what we did. You're going to go File, Save As, Selection, to worksheet like that. All right, because see, we're kind of in the middle with this. Convert to PDF, and we'll do Keynes graph. And see what it did? It gave you just the part that you highlighted. Okay, but here's the thing: you have to work with this a bit to figure out, because see, there's like a lot of dead space here, which you don't want. So you got to really about 2 of the default Excel sheets is what comfortably fits on a PDF. But I'm just showing you how to get from Excel a selection and convert that to PDF, which I just showed you how to do. We just did this, right? Okay, and you can see it's thin. So generally, though, what looks good are 2 of these pages together. Now, I messed with the borders here. So all you have to do is go to Page Layout, Breaks, and just say Reset all the breaks. And then go to View, Normal. And you're back to just your normal view of things. Okay. We saved it with a Y, I hope. Yeah, Y was first. Keynes graph. Okay. And then also, as I previously showed you, what you're going to do is you're going to go to your assignment and you're going to say insert, and you maybe from the file, we'll do this from the end. We'll get the Keynes file that we saved here. There's Keynes right there. And we want this to be last, the last page. Okay. And there you go. See? Now you got your text. You got your graph here. You're all set to go convince someone to go invest $1 billion, right? You're all set to do that. Okay. So, and then keep saving this thing. But that's how to do cover page. That's how to do your text stuff, graphics. Okay. You're ready to go be an economist to do all this. Okay. But that's how all this goes. So whatever this was, 15 minutes or so. So yeah, we're gonna shut all this stuff down. But so we gotta replay this if you need some some help on that. But yeah, we're gonna start hitting these chapters and do some really good theoretical stuff. So I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna leave the spreadsheet open. This we don't need. And actually, so now the next half of this is going to be the we'll just do the power, because that was a short video. So, but I got set up to do this, so let's just do this. Let's talk about aggregate expenditure and equilibrium output. So this is good. This is just a good introductory discussion here. I forget, what is it, 11 or something. Yeah, F5 or something. That outline view, reading view. If we go to view, split. Yeah, maybe we'll just do reading view like that. Okay. This is the core macro theory. An important measure of economic activity, GDP, what the overall price level is, how many people are working. Inflation is important too. These are the price level or inflation. These are the concerns of macroeconomists. They're influenced by events in 3 broadly defined markets: goods and services, the money markets, financial, and people. And I'll tell you that last one, if anybody's doing any projects or anything like that, you know what I'm saying. It's it could be there's a lot of these are notes. I don't want this. yeah, the labor market, there's a lot of complications in the labor market. Okay, so make this big for you guys, as big as we can here. Let's do 100 and see that that's better. Yeah, that might be a little bit better. I'm not going to give you this stuff, these PowerPoints, because they're all, if you just read it, I just want you to read the textbook because it's too many things to keep track of. Okay, read the text. This is all in the textbook. Okay, this is all in the textbook. And this is maybe a good outline of a good intermediate macro theory course. And this very well applies to, this very well applies to the international class. There were some people saying, oh, well, this is like a macro class or something like that. Well, I mean, that's what the political economists think about. Okay, they think about inflation and fiscal policy and spending and taxes and what the government is spending and economic activity and how the G20 are doing and the G7 and is Russia in or out and who's using the euro and what the IMF thinks and the World Bank and a whole other list of non-elected folks that have a lot to do with sort of what happens in the world. Expenditure, at the top left there, it says goods and services. Planned expenditure is demand, consumption, investment, government spending. Output is the red one, right? Output or income, that's got to equal, those two have to equal one another. The money market, the supply of money, the demand of money, interest rate, that's a big piece of the puzzle here. We have some lectures on that, and we'll get to that. Connection between goods and services in the money markets, what aggregate demand is, we'll get to that. 13 is, so 12 and 13 are aggregate demand, aggregate supply, done at maybe a little more of a sophisticated level. And then the labor market, supply, demand, and employment, unemployment. And again, in the intermediate course, we sort of look these up empirically, and now we're looking at them a little more theoretically. So, whoops, I didn't want to do that, folks. I don't really use PowerPoints too much, but I just wanted to give an introduction to this. And this says it in words: market for goods and services, money market, 12 of the couple markets together, aggregate output, interest rates, deriving the aggregate demand curve, how the supply curve and demand price level determines the price level. And then we explain in chapter 14 how the labor market fits into the picture. Okay. And here's the demand and supply, right? This is demand, right? That's demand, and this is supply. Keynes, what you consume is based on your income. And then if you're not consuming, you're saving or investing. And then when your investment equals your savings, then you have equilibrium, and we'll look at that. And then we add some factors to that in the next chapter. Determination of supply, savings investment approach, the multiplier, huge thing. So you make $100 million investment somewhere, what's really the impact in the area that you're doing this for? Deriving the multiplier algebraically, we're going to look at that. Okay. And I'll tell you, I think a lot of thought in this economics book is these beginning chapter pictures. All right, obviously that's a consumer. It looks like they're in a Whole Foods or something similar to Whole Foods, or some kind of a big grocery store back when they had bags. Right now, there's no bags. Right, you go to Walmart. See, this picture's dated. Right now, Walmart, there's no bags. We all love that. Right, you got to bring a box. I got my back seat of my car is full of cherry boxes. Those are like the strongest ones. So I have about 3 cherry boxes back there. I'm putting all my stuff in, the milk and the orange juice and whatever. As kids, we used to do that in Newark. We used to walk back and forth to our home because the grocery store was about a block or two away. We lived on 3rd Avenue. It was on 2nd Avenue. We used to walk to it, and my mom had like a metal grocery cart, and we stacked them and had paper bags at the time. We'd stack them in, or I'd have a box. I'd be carrying the box. I remember as a kid, but obviously there's no more bags. So aggregate output, the total quantity of goods and services produced or supplied. That's the supply in an economy in a given period. The aggregate income, the total income received by all factors of production in a given period. In any given period, there's an exact equality between aggregate output and income. So in other words, what the economy is supplying, what it's demanding. You should be reminded of this fact whenever you encounter the combined aggregate output income term. So this seems a little of a confusing term. There's a Y in here, and actually this is on the that's actually on the horizontal. Okay, that's where the x-axis is, but it uses a y. So again, so that's another layer of confusion about it. It's a combined term used to remind us exactly the equality between aggregate output and aggregate income. Now, again, the more mathematically focused people in my classes, everybody knows what an equal sign looks like. It's the two horizontal lines. A definition in math has three horizontal lines. So it looks like an equal sign, but like sort of an extra horizontal line. I didn't go bananas looking in the library, like the symbols library, make sure it's three. I just use an equal sign. But if there's a definition where it's excuse me, where it's a math definition, don't worry about it. I'll just say it's a definition. So the consumption function, it's the relationship between consumption and income, and this is Keynes. This is Keynes' very dramatic picture or illustrative graph here. This is a straight line. There's a y-intercept, a slope. Y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, x is the x-axis. And this consumption, this is a function of y, of income, right? Consumption is a function of income, but the x-axis, they use the y variable for whatever reason. For an individual household shows level of consumption. Yeah, that's Keynes's definition of, or his main contribution to this economic thought. There's the equation, a plus by. Okay, and you can remember the slope, the change in y over the change in x. But here, it's a change in the vertical over the change in the horizontal. Even you could call the horizontal y, that's the delta y. So this is a little more of a theoretical treatment compared to us just going to find the unemployment numbers and that's it, or the economic in dollars, and that's all we would do. So now we're doing it a little more sort of rigorous, a little more rigorous mathematics in here. Slope, delta C over delta Y, that stuff. The aggregate consumption function shows the level of aggregate consumption at each level of aggregate income. The upward slope indicates the higher level of income leads to higher levels of consumption spending. Okay. But yeah, and I this is all the algebra basics that you need here. Your function, it says function, consumption function. Okay. And again, this is all in the textbook. Marginal propensity to consume. And again, this is the slope of the consumption function. And here's those triple equal signs. See the three horizontal lines? That's a definition. That means marginal propensity to consume is defined as a slope of the consumption function. And the slope of the consumption function is defined as that ratio. That's what it means mathematically. But I didn't go berserk. I put just equality and that's it. But in the math world, they really care about that. It's a fraction of change in income that is consumed or spent. That's really what that is. Savings. So here, your income is Y. You either consume or save. So you could say S plus C. You could have this on the left side. The part of aggregate income that's not consumed is a savings. So if you don't consume anything, you just save everything, and then Y equals S. Or if you don't save anything, Y equals C, and S is 0. So again, we're getting into a little more of a mathematical realm here. Identity is something that's always true. The marginal propensity to save is a fraction of income that is saved. So in other words, if you make $1 or $1,000, you spend $750. That's your marginal propensity to consume is 3/4, and your marginal propensity to save is 25% or 1/4. They're important concepts, and we're going to review the definitions. This is another identity here where this slope and this slope are, it's got to those percentages have to equal 1. The marginal propensity to consume is a fraction of increase in the income that is consumed, or the fraction or decrease of an income that comes out of consumption. The MPS, the marginal propensity to save, is the fraction of increase in income that is saved, or the fraction or decrease in income that comes out of savings. Yeah, a fraction of a decrease in income? All right, well, but and regardless of that, those two ratios, those two percentages, add those up, those have to equal 1. Okay, that's got to equal 1. Yeah, this is this is dissaving and disspending is really what that would be from the legal world, right? We had this equation. Now, again, these are just pictures. I have this all worked out in Excel, so don't be concerned and say, "Oh boy, this is just a picture. I don't know what to do here." this is all worked out in Excel. So when we convert over to the Excel lectures, you're going to understand, you're going to understand what to do with those. Okay, so looking at this, these are your earnings. Okay, the output of the economy or your income. Okay, that's what that Y is what that is. The consumption function is derived in the following manner. So we have some equation. We didn't really worry too much about it, but we have it's the simple. It assumes that consumption is 100. In other words, you need $100 to exist somehow. If you're not earning anything, you need 100 to exist. You'll spend $3 out of $4. That's what the 0.75 means. Out of every $4 you earn, you'll spend 3. So as income rises, what's your consumption looking like? Well, if you've made 400, right, that means you'll spend 300, and you'll add that to the 100 somehow that you either someone gave you, or the government gave you, your family gave you, or somebody that just again magically sort of appeared, which is a transfer payment. It's really what that is. So yeah, so consumption increases every $75 for every $100 increase in income. That's what we mean by this. And the scientific world, the math guys, the physics guys care about this change in Y over change in X a lot. Okay, so this is a central concept to the mathematical knowledge that we have as a civilization. So you have a graph of this consumption function here. When Y is 0, it equals 100. And then as you're earning more, 500, 600, 700, you plug that into there and you get your Y coordinate. 500 here, whatever it might be. Okay, this is your slope. And we have a table, so you can test all of these income entries, and then it'll produce a consumption function that's generally going to be in this column. At this 400 point, you sort of cross the Rubicon, right? At that 400 point, so at 400, it's going to be, you're going to consume 400 when you're making 400. But when you're at 600, 3/4 of that, right, plus 100 it'll be 450 plus 550. So you see there's a point where your consumption's below income, and there's a point where consumption's above income, where you're borrowing or getting it from some other spot. Here you're saving. Okay, and the Rubicon is at 400, and we'll discuss that. That's you're passing the 45-degree line is really what that is, but we'll discuss that. Like I said, we're just getting here's the 45-degree line. Yeah, and there's where your crossover is about that 400. So yeah, so this matches with that. You either save or consume. That's your income. You have a 45-degree line to sort of help you visually. No, this is all to teach you. Okay, when you do these things, you're going to do these things in Excel, and you have to. I don't do anything with pencil and paper. Nothing. So, I mean, that's what's going on today. And if other people can't accept that, I don't know what to tell you. But from the educational point of view and from my clinical point of view, that's how you have to do this. There's nothing written on a board someplace. And these are all, you have to transmit everything to various people. So what did you start scanning, some scratched out drawings? We're not cavemen. Okay. So you got to be able to explain it. You have to. And people want a number. People want an answer. Okay. And, what does this cost? What's the value here? So at 200, what consumption is 250? So what's going on with this? So you're borrowing. See what says -50? That's dissaving. You're borrowing 50 to cover your consumption at 200. At 800, you're saving 100. So again, you cross that line, and we've lined up. See the graphs, and again, this is going back to physics days where you had classical like Newtonian mechanics is taught like this, where there's a distance graph, a velocity graph, an acceleration graph, and all these other kinds of things sort of stacked on top of each other like this. So this is very physics like. This is a function of consumption. This is a function of savings. So you plug C into here, you subtract these two quantities, and then you deal with so it's 1/4 Y minus 100 here, and you don't start saving until you get to 400, and then you're positive savings. Because see, this is the y-axis here, and save the aggregate savings on the y-axis, and here, and it works out here. So again, Excel is very well suited to go through a lot of this for us. I'm just giving you an introduction to sort of what's going on. We will solve all this in Excel, I guarantee you that. And also in the fiscal policy chapter, there's an excellent discussion about debt and deficit and the overall government budget, or the federal government's budget, and how the deficit's been building up to this astronomical number. Now it's a number that's comparable to the GDP. So the annual deficit's been, if you just take this year's value, it's been adding up for 15 years or whatever it is. I know in Clinton, when the guy Bill was in office, the deficit was zero. So they balanced the budget at some point, and he was a Democrat. Okay, but he was liked. People liked him, and people forget. When people like you, they'll forgive you. Even if you guys, none of you were probably alive when he was in office, but he was in office in the 90s, like all through the 92 to 2000, and he had something with some girl, and they did something in the Oval Office or whatever it was, and on and on and on. So all this catastrophic stuff towards the end of his presidency, and it just wasted a lot of his time. Same thing with Trump. These guys, when you're very powerful people, wealthy. Clinton was governor. The wife was very ambitious. So, those kinds of problems are going to find you. And it's a shame that the world is that way, but it is that way. So be careful. Other determinants: consumption. It's not just income, the household decisions, what to consume, wealth, interest rates, future expectations. And again, we spoke at the beginning of the semester about the Michigan survey about sentiment and confidence and expectation. Households with higher wealth spend more. Other things being equal, households with less wealth spend less. This is something where it talks about savings and pensions. You can see it's an older group of people. It looks like Princeton almost, but it's not. It's probably not. Although it might be. But it looks like a big lecture hall, and they're probably some company somewhere, and they're discussing the pension plan that the company worked on in their interests. I put that in quotes. My advice to you guys: your healthcare, your retirement, make that your problem. That's my advice. Make that your problem. Don't let it, I'm going to work for Verizon, they'll take care of it. Make it your problem. I'll say it again, make your retirement and your pension and your healthcare funding your problem. Okay? Own a part of a business. That's how you do it. Savings decisions involve thinking about trade-offs, being present in future consumption. I think the day of saving from your paycheck is past. I think that was passed long ago. You can't do it. You just can't do it. Okay, so you gotta set up a cash flow. You need to be the Social Security Administration, not relying on which. Even in Roosevelt, who started it like 100 years ago, whatever it was, even said, "Hey, this is going to run out of money. But this is going to run out of money while we still need it to pay." Or so, and people are living longer. Okay, but yeah, this is about retirement. You guys, make that your problem. Planned and actual investment to capital stock. Factories, equipment, earth moving. Bulldozers, cranes, things to do construction. Okay, so then there's your planned additions to capital stock, and then what actually happens. Okay. So for the time being, we assume the planned investment is fixed. It does not change or income change. So the graph, so that's our model for planned investment. Equilibrium, when there's no tendency for change. And the macroeconomic goods market, equilibrium occurs when planned aggregate expenditure is equal to aggregate output. Planned aggregate expenditure, the total amount of the economy plans to spend in a given period. In other words, what you consume versus what you're going to invest in. If I equals S, then you're at equilibrium, right? The output of the nation, if that's bigger than aggregate investment or aggregate planned aggregate expenditure, then obviously you need to the economy needs to increase output. And the reverse of that is if the planned expenditure, if it's less than if it's less than output, then there's unplanned inventory appreciation or unplanned inventory addition. if consumption and investment are beyond output, then output needs to increase, and inventories are whittled down, or inventories are depreciated. Okay. We have a great model in Excel. This is our beginning spot here. Are we where we're at equilibrium? No or yes, no or yes. Here, inventory, you're producing too much and inventory is building. Here you're producing not enough and inventory is in decline. Or see all the negatives? That means you're taking it out of inventory, is what that means. So if you look at this, at 200, the demand is actually, the output is 200, demand is 275. Output is 600, demand is 575. So you're exceeding demand. Here you're undercutting demand, right? Here you're undercutting demand also. Here you're at equilibrium. Output of the economy and what people want, same number. Going to consume 475, you're going to save or invest 25. Okay. And like I said, we have nice graphs where we, yeah, see, and this other stuff here, you're adding investment to consumption, so you're shifting that curve. It's got the same slope as the original consumption curve. You just added a scalar to it, and you shifted it up. Okay, and here's your horizontal line, and here's your equilibrium point. This is unplanned fall in inventory. This is unplanned rise in inventory. The economy is producing too much. The economy is producing not enough. When planned aggregate expenditure and aggregate output are equal, that's when equilibrium occurs. Planned aggregate expenditure is the sum of consumption spending and planned investment spending. Because aggregate income must be saved or spent, by definition, consumed or saved, which is an identity. So here we go with the S and the I now. The equilibrium condition is C plus I, but this is not an identity because it does not hold when we're out of equilibrium. By substituting C plus S for Y in the equilibrium condition, what you do is have the C's cancel out, and when you're in equilibrium, savings equals investment. Planned investment equals savings. That's when you have equilibrium. And here, here's it's what's labeled as the approach to this. So you have the savings function where that intersects investment. You're at the same Y, right? And then you determine the income for that. Okay, this is income here. Okay, yeah, S equals X equals I. Planned investment equals 500. Okay. Adjustments. The process continues as long as output is below aggregate expenditure. If firms react to unplanned inventory reductions by increasing output in an economy with planned spending greater than output, will adjust to equilibrium when Y is higher than before. If spending is less than output, then there'll be unplanned increases in inventory, and the firms will respond by reducing output. As output falls, income falls, consumption falls until equilibrium is restored. This is a little more of a complicated version of the supply and demand curve. Okay, what a multiplier is, it's the excuse me, it's the ratio of change in the equilibrium level of output to a change in some exogenous variable. As exogenous variable means it's outside the model, or outside the model we're using for the economy. It doesn't change when the economy changes. Okay, that's what exogenous means, and we have a more detailed discussion of that. So yeah, so here's your shift here. So in other words, and again, this is a little bit of a complicated graphic here, but what happens here, it says aggregate expenditure 1, consumption plus investment. Aggregate expenditure number 2, consumption plus investment plus delta I. Delta I is a little more planned spending or a little more planned investment. So in other words, if your delta I is 25, you want to see the impact of that on aggregate expenditure. So in other words, the entire delta in aggregate expenditure is 100 because you have a multiplier also, is what's happening with this. So as you invest more, that investment circulates through the economy and pushes more consumption to happen, and that's 75. So delta I plus delta C shift the aggregate expenditure curve up a bit. And here we'll look at it here. We'll say the multiplier is seen in the planned aggregate expenditure diagram. The economy is in equilibrium at 500 when I is increased by 25. The aggregate expenditure is initially greater than aggregate output. As output rises in response, additional consumption is generated, pushing equilibrium output up by a multiple of the initial increase. So in other words, if income is 25 more, the multiplier would push that to 75, and yet you have your delta aggregate expenditure is 100. So in other words, the multiplier is 4. right? So for 25 increase in expenditure or investment, 25 times 4 is 100. So the delta C has to be 75. The new equilibrium is found at 6. So in other words, you used to be, the original output of the economy was 500. Now you're at 600. So you have 100 change in aggregate expenditure because the multiplier is 4 for this particular economy. So when you change investment by 25, 25 plus times 4 is 100. 500 plus 100 is 600. So your delta Y is 100 is what that is. It says it here. That appears 4 times the amount. Okay. Here's the multiplier equations and what these guys look like. This is a little more on the theoretical edge of things. We have the MPS, which is a fraction of income that's saved. It's defined as the change in S. So the fractional savings, the fractional income is so again, in other words, as income increases, how much do you save? As income increases, how much do you invest? Okay, when delta S equals delta I, that's when you're in equilibrium. And we do a little bit of math here, and we determine the multiplier, 1 over MPS, times delta I equals a change in the output. So in other words, the 1 over MPS is just the multiplier. So it's multiplier times delta I gives you delta income or delta output. So the multiplier can be not just 1 over marginal propensity to save, but 1 over 1 minus marginal propensity to consume with a little bit of algebra mixed in here. The paradox of thrift. In other words, and this is again, if you save a little bit more, or if you don't spend as much, does it necessarily go to savings? Or if you increase savings, how does that impact the economy? So it says an increase in planned savings from S0 to S1. So in other words, the curve shift. And the wild thing about this is, as you shift this curve, and in terms of expanding your savings or saving more, it's like increased savings from S0 to S1 causes the equilibrium output to decrease from 500 to 300. So in other words, if the money isn't circulating, you're certainly not going to improve by saving more. You're not going to improve the economy. That's the paradox that's described here. So it says a decrease in consumption that accompanies an increased savings leads to a contraction of the economy and a reduction in income. But at the new equilibrium, savings is the same as initially was at the. So in other words, So if you look at the delta here, you're still at that same I, right? That's the paradox. Okay, to save has caused a drop in income, but no overall change in savings. So that's the paradox we're looking at. The size of the multiplier in the real world. There's some looking ahead. There's some terms. I think we have it as 4 theoretically, but it's really about 2. Taxes takes a little bit of steam out of it. So an exogenous increase in spending of 10 billion and the economy only raises real GDP by 20 billion. That's how the real multiplier works. It's the one we have in the chapter is very simple. So this was the first sort of complicated model that we looked at here. Consumption depends on income. Planned investment is fixed. There's equilibrium there. Okay. We discussed how the economy might adjust back to equilibrium when it's out of equilibrium. We discussed the effects of equilibrium output on a change in planned investment and derived into the multiplier. The next chapter, we retain these assumptions and add the government, add government spending to the economy. Now, the assignment for the 101, the 2 o'clock class, the 1 o'clock class, and the graduate is this. Is this stuff? Yeah, and the NJCU, you guys have this also. Okay, exogenous equal, and again, certainly the intermediate macro group, you guys want to, you guys really want to concentrate on this because this is really going to be up your alley for the work that you're going to continue to do, in a little more of an advanced program. This identity, there's conditions here, right? When y equals c plus I, there's the investment approach, savings investment approach to equilibrium, what the multipliers are. So, okay, you got all this stuff, folks. Good luck. It was a great Giant game today, so go watch the highlights of the Giant game. I'm not going to post the PowerPoints because it's all in this. Read the book. Okay, it's all in here. See, it's the exact same graphics. Exactly. Read the book. Okay, that's my advice. You guys is read the book. All right, read the chapters. It's in there. All right, folks. Thank you. It's always great to spend some time. Like I said, great. Giants were losing by like it was 20-0 or 20-0 or something. They came roaring back, but Barkley got hurt a little bit. So, folks, thank you. We'll see you soon.